Hi, guys. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and I hope that everything is going really, really well for you. We're going to take some time today to talk about the kinds of writing that you're going to be reading in my class. There's a big difference between the kind of writing that we do every day in our lives and the kind of writing that we will mostly be reading in this class. And so I want to make sure that I explain those to you because it's also a big difference in the kind of writing that you might do with your friends or on a day-to-day basis and the kind of writing that you are going to be doing in my class. So if you take a look, and this will be posted in your Google Classroom, we have the Introduction to Academic Writing, and this is just a few of the basics for you to understand, what is going on as far as this all goes. So everyday writing and academic writing have some pretty big differences. So the everyday writing that you guys probably do, things like text messages, snaps, tweets, Facebook posts, blogs, journals, it's really informal. Most of the time, your everyday writing is going to be something that you write to a friend. Again, a text that you write to a friend, or a text that you write to your mom, or some sort of post that you do to a family member. It is not going to be grammatical necessarily. It might be, but you probably don't use punctuation, or you lowercase your I's. You use a lot of exclamation points, or maybe you put things in bold, or you put asterisks around things to emphasize them. All of those are informal ways of writing. Also, slang. Words that are fine when we talk to each other face to face, but that aren't good for academic writing. It could use, expletives, those good old cuss words, those things that, might be fine for you to use with your best friend, or, I don't know your family. Maybe they're fine for you to use with your grandma, but they're not going to be fine for you to use in our class. And then again, emojis. Emojis have a place in informal writing, everyday writing, but not in academic writing. Academic writing, okay, there we go. Academic writing are going to be the things like essays, research papers, lab reports, journals. They're formal. The audience is typically your teacher or your professor or someone at work, a boss, right? These things need to follow grammatical rules. They need to be properly punctuated. They have to have things capitalized. They're supposed to be capitalized. No lowercase i's in anything you write in here. You are not going to use a lot of exclamation points and things like that unless they are absolutely necessary. No slang and expletives. I'm not offended. It's just not appropriate in academic writing, and definitely not any emojis. So all of the things over to the left, they are not wrong. There is nothing wrong with using 17 exclamation points when you tell your friend how boring this video was. But if you're writing a story for me, or if you're writing something for me and you put more than one exclamation point, then that is not formal enough for what we're doing in my class. Just because you might use certain words with your friends doesn't mean that you can use them in your academic writing. And so I think that's an important lesson to learn. It's not that formal or informal everyday writing is wrong. It's just informal and everyday. And so we want to use the stuff on the right-hand side, the academic writing side in this class. All right, so academic writing in an English class. There's 4 basic types of writing that you're going to be doing this year, this semester, and you'll be doing it this year too in other classes besides mine. One of the 4 types is literary analysis, and that's when you'll read something literary or a nonfiction text, and you'll provide sort of your insights and your analysis, or your breaking down of the ideas in that text. And we'll be doing some literary analysis over 2 texts this week. And so you'll have a chance to write a little bit of a literary analysis right here at the beginning. We're also going to be writing a lot of argument. And in an argument paper, you provide your stance on a topic and you use evidence to support it. Academic argument is not just screaming at each other on social media, right? That's kind of the argument style that we see today. But true academic argument that might make a difference provides evidence and is grounded in fact and not just emotion. And so we will be working on that. Narrative writing, which we'll also do in here, is when you are telling a story with sequenced events. It could be a fictional story or it could be a nonfiction story, but it still tells a story, which you of course know. And you know what a research paper is. It takes a topic, it compiles information that you've researched, and it also can help explain or persuade something for someone. So literary analysis, argument, narrative, and research paper are all 4 types of writing that you will do this semester, and they will all be formal writing or academic writing. So even if we're writing a narrative, which could be a little less formal than, say, a research paper, you still don't want emojis. I still don't want slang. I still don't want expletives. I still don't want 15 exclamation points. We're always trying to go for academic writing, the kind of writing you would do for work, the kind of writing that you do for school. There are 2 main components of academic writing. You need a controlling idea. You guys have probably heard of this before and maybe called it a thesis statement. Thesis statement is a fine thing to call it. It can also be called a claim, okay? And a controlling idea is the main idea of your writing. And then you have supporting details or evidence. So it could be that you write details to support the main idea of a narrative. It could be that you provide evidence to support an idea in a research paper. But every sort of academic writing will have a main idea and evidence to support that main idea. The controlling idea is absolutely the most important part of any writing. This idea is going to drive your paper. It's going to drive your paragraph. It's going to drive your essay. It's going to drive your narrative, whatever you're writing. It's going to drive that to have a controlling idea. Obviously, controlling ideas are going to look different depending on what kind of writing you're writing. If you're writing a narrative, your controlling idea is not going to look the same as if you are writing an argument. If you are writing a fiction narrative, it's especially not going to look the same as if you're writing a science-based research paper. But all of these, no matter what kind of writing you're doing, will have a controlling idea. If you can't look at something you've written and sort of point out your controlling idea to me, then you probably don't have a piece of cohesive academic writing. All right, so controlling ideas look different for each type of writing, and here is sort of an example of that. In analysis, you're going to let me know, hey, what are you going to be arguing about this text that you're analyzing? If I say, hey, read this part of, of War and Peace, and we're not going to read War and Peace, but if I said, read this part of War and Peace and tell me the, and analyze it for theme, right? Then your analysis, your controlling idea would be telling me what argument you're going to make about theme. What analytical point you're going to make about theme. What are you going to say about the theme of War and Peace? Argument, okay? What will the stance be that you're taking on the opinion that you're arguing? So if you're going to argue that we should outlaw raisins, right? Because you think raisins are nasty, we should only eat grapes, absolutely no raisins, then that should be expressed in your controlling idea or your claim. And a narrative, it's going to be your theme. And narrative's theme or the lesson that we learn becomes your controlling idea. All of the supporting details in a narrative are built up to teach us some sort of lesson about a story. And so we'll be talking a lot about themes and narratives, and that's the controlling idea. Research paper is going to be basically the synthesis, and synthesis just means combination. Synthesizing something is like merging it together, braiding it together to create something new, right? So if you're doing a research paper on raisins, you might research how raisins are made, the health benefits of raisins, and maybe how raisins affect the economy, right? And so you'll research those topics, and then you'll come up with a claim or a thesis about raisins. And after everything you've read, the horrors of raisins, then they should be outlawed. And you can have a research paper that supports that. So it will synthesize the ideas that you have discovered in your research process. All right. Supporting details and evidence are absolutely the backbone of your paper, and they hold up the controlling idea. If you don't have support for your controlling idea, you are really just kind of like a crazy person ranting, right? And we all have that relative, that like great aunt or that grandma, or, maybe you are that relative who likes to get on social media and just rant about things that make them mad. The problem with that is, although it's a lot of fun, it is not good academic writing, which is why we can't use it in class. So any idea that you're going to write about in class, you have to have supporting details or evidence to build up and support that controlling idea so that it has a framework or a structure to hang upon. So in each type of writing, it's going to look a little bit different. You're supporting details and evidence. So in analysis, it will be direct quotes from the text you're analyzing, right? It will be quotes or passages that you paraphrase. It will be summaries of ideas contained in the text. It could be any of those things. An argument, facts, statistics, expert opinions, anecdotal evidence. And anecdotal evidence means stories about you or about someone you know that something happened to. Those can be very powerful. They can't be your only evidence, but they can be very powerful evidence, and they'll support your claim and an argument. And a narrative, the details and the descriptions are your supporting evidence, and they bring your narrative to life and help teach us whatever the theme is. And then in a research paper, it'll be direct quotes, paraphrase, summary of information gained through the research. All of that stuff is what is going to bolster or build up your controlling idea in a research paper. Guys, I know that this is not very interesting, but we're going to be coming back to this slideshow. And the biggest take home that I want you to have so far is just that we want academic writing in here, and that there are 4 types of writing, that each type of writing has 2 main parts: the controlling idea and the details or evidence. And so we've kind of looked at that so far. All right, next. What does it look like when it's all put together? So here is an analytical sample. Keep doing that. My face is like right in the corner of this. So I'm just going to say some words I can't, like when I get there, I'm just going to say that I can't do them. So hello, this is a very informal thing. So here's an analytical sample. Johnson's main focus in her treatise on peace is that all humans, no matter their race, gender, or age, are deserving of living a life free of conflict. And if you look, guys, this sentence is her controlling idea, right? She's arguing that the main focus of this thing is that people deserve a life free of conflict. Her argument rests upon several current and historical examples she includes in her writing. And so now we're going to get our evidence. One of the main examples she discusses is Costa Rica. She describes Costa Rica as an idyllic country without military and with people that are described by most other countries as the happiest on earth, which I will have to say, I have been to Costa Rica and it made me happy. So I'd be willing to agree with that. This description of Costa Rica helps demonstrate Johnson's point by showing what happens to a population, I can't read that word, not constantly in a state of war or conflict. The peace the country of, it cuts off there, helps them live a happy life. You get the point. You can read this because my head is probably not going to be in the corner of the one I post for you. But the idea here, guys, is just that she gives a main idea in this writing and then supports it with examples from the text. Argumentative. High school students should be allowed to use phones in classrooms when the teacher is not directly instructing them. This is an antiquated rule that needs to change in order to make classrooms run more efficiently. Currently, teachers are constantly trying to get students to put their phones away. This is a ridiculous waste of teachers' time. I agree. And it creates unnecessary classroom disruptions. If the rule were to change, teachers could spend more time instructing and less time policing. Additionally, teachers could help. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. Okay. You can read it. It's going to be available to you online. But the bottom line is we have a claim, and then we have details and evidence that hold up that claim or that controlling idea. Notice no slang, no underlined words, no all caps, no crazy exclamation points, or no like question mark, exclamation point, question mark. Okay. So that's important. Narrative sample. I'll always remember the first time I went to a Braves game. I was 7 years old, and my dad took me and my brother to see them play at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. You know, I don't think that that's right. Oh, no. What have I done? Let's escape and go back. Okay. Excuse me. You know, this is my first screencast I've actually recorded since spring. So, you know, going to be a little messy. Yeah, this is like, sorry, there's like a typo in here. So that should be Braves with apostrophe after it. I was 7 years old. My dad took me to Atlanta, blah, 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 blah. I've lost it again. Oh my goodness. Okay, I was 7 years old. My dad took me to see them play at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. We got there early, and the walk from the parking lot to the stadium seemed to take a couple hours. There were people everywhere, and the smells and sounds of the scene were almost overwhelming. You hear these details, right? This is all supporting the idea that this author will never forget the first time they went to the Braves game. From the parking lot, attendants trying to get you to park in their lot to the peanut vendors yelling out, "Hot roasted peanuts for sale." It was something else. As we approached the massive stadium, I remember getting more and more excited to watch my favorite team play my favorite sport. We crossed through the turnstiles and my anticipation grew. However, I was not prepared for the sight of the field. When we walked to the end of the tunnel and the field came into view, I stood dumbstruck, taking in how massive and green the field was, right? So all of those awesome supporting details. And as a Braves fan, I can relate to those like that. I felt that. And when I was that age, like this was when the Braves like never won ever. And I can remember going to the field and how awesome it was. So I could really relate to that. And this author used awesome details to build up that main idea. All right. One more, research. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, okay? But if you look at it, you're going to see a claim, getting at least 30 minutes of each day benefits the body in ways most people don't realize. And if you read through, you're going to see several quotes, several facts cited, and all of that supports that main claim that getting 30 minutes of exercise each day benefits the body in ways most people don't realize. So again, that is a sample of what the two parts of writing look like in research. All right, so I'm going to post this in your classrooms for you to reference, and I'm going to sort of summarize again what I want you to take with you from this. So I want you to remember, first and foremost, most importantly, that we are doing academic writing, not everyday writing in this class. Please use spell check and grammar check. Never submit something to me that you haven't taken the time to edit. If you submit something to me and you haven't taken the time to edit it, I'm just going to return it to you and I'm going to ask you to edit it and then resubmit it. I don't have time to be your editor. I want to help you grow. And I can only do that if you give me your best edited work, your formal writing work. There are 4 types of writing that we'll do in class. We'll do analysis, we'll do narrative, we will do argumentative, and we will do research. And we'll be doing a lot of those in little pieces, so don't be scared of any of those, especially not the research. It won't be long. But I want you to realize that those are the 4 types of writing. And all 4 of those types of writing have 2 main components. So what are those main 2 components? Think about it. Okay. 1, controlling idea. 2, evidence and support. So what I would like you to do now is to move on through today's lesson, and you will be examining some narrative writing in today's lesson. And so I hope that you enjoy the story, and I will see you tomorrow.